Here, I think there was a remake. All the originals, right? Those are my favorites. Thank you. So, there was an atheist running through the woods, terrified. He was being chased by Bigfoot. So he screams to God, save me from Bigfoot. And God booms down, oh, so now you believe in me? And the atheist says, well, to be honest, I didn't believe in Bigfoot until about 5 minutes ago either. Isn't it awesome that we don't need that kind of kick in the pants to believe in the divine? We come here every single Sunday. It's such a blessing. There are people who don't have communities like this one, who can come in, we get all these affirmations, we get reminded of what's real. That's a blessing, isn't it? Yeah. I'm so grateful. Every Sunday, I look forward to this. It doesn't matter how much sleep I've had or how sore my voice is. I'm always happy to come here and see all your beautiful, shining faces. So I'm grateful. I love to live in gratitude. But you know, it's not always easy. It doesn't always work that way, does it? No. When things are inconvenient, that's really easy for me to get unplugged. But we know that there's human timing and there's also divine timing. That's what we're working with, really, right? It's human timing that is not working out. Thank you, Joyce. And divine timing that's at play sometimes when we, as our humans, our human plans aren't working out. Recently, I had 3 pretty major things happen to me. Beginning in May, and the last one happened in the beginning of October. The first thing that happened was my Airbnb, which was the way I paid my mortgage since 1999. Zoning laws changed in Denver, and I was no longer able to Airbnb as of July. Okay? That's a big thing. That's a big life-changing thing. The second thing is that my dad, who'd been in and out of the hospital, went into the hospital again. And I want to tell you a little bit about my dad. My dad bought tickets for my mother, his wife, and me as a baby. And we came over on a boat through Nova Scotia from India. Can you imagine being on a boat for all that time? I'm glad I don't remember it. And he scraped all his money together. He worked really hard, and they came here, and this was during the 60s, and they could not nobody wanted to hire them, nobody wanted to rent places to them. They were really discriminated against. And my dad became a house painter to pay the bills. And this is pre-Google, right? So anything I needed to know, I would ask my dad. My dad was the guy. I would say, Dad, there was a time when my brother was just learning to crawl. He fell down the basement stairs because my mother left the door open. My dad constructed a pulley system, tied a can of pumpkin puree to the end of it, and she'd open the door, and then the door would slam shut behind her. That was just his ingenuity. Charlie likes that one. I remember one time we grew up in Maryland, and there's tons of gnats and midges. You know what those things are? And one flew into my ear and was just churning around in there, and I was so terrified. I didn't want to stick my finger in there because, I was 6, and I thought if I stuck my finger in, then it would go deeper in my brain and have babies and live there forever, because that's what we think when we're little. So I said, Dad, I can't get this out of my ear. I don't know what to do. My dad thought for a minute, and he said, put a flashlight up to your ear. The bug will struggle to get to the light. And it did. I was so amazed. My dad he was an out-of-the-box thinker. But after my mom passed away, then all of that began to shift for my dad. He was losing his sight. He didn't drive anymore. And so he was a different person, not just to me, but who he was in the world was very different. And I know that was hard for him. So after going into the hospital in September, he ended up with COVID, and he passed. So that was the second big significant thing. The third thing that happened after all of this, a few weeks after his funeral, I got contacted by a company called TIAA-CREF. I don't know if any of you know it. It's a brokerage company for teachers and educators. And my dad, again doing the dad thing, had provided for me and my sister in such a way that I didn't have to feel like the wolf was at the door with the Airbnb. So these are three big significant things that happened. Now, if I were writing this script, I would not have written it that way. I wouldn't have had the Airbnb falter and all the stress that came along with it, and then I couldn't get to see my dad because I was trying to comply, and I was calling workmen, and I was doing stuff, and I was like, Dad, I'm going to get there as soon as I get this sorted out. And I would have had more visits than just the one in August. So I would have planned it that, I would not have planned it that my father had to leave, but since that was the only option, I would have said, let that happen first. Let the Airbnb just be just fine. Let this happen with my dad. I'll visit him a lot. It'll be graceful. It'll be beautiful. It'll be spiritual. I'll be with him. He'll transition. All of this, right? And then after that, we'll find out, oh, he left. He's still taking care of us. He created this legacy for us. And then maybe months later, the city would say, guess what? We're changing zoning laws and you're no longer in compliance. And I'll be like, oh, you know what? That's okay. But it didn't happen that way, right? And when I stopped, just recently I thought about this. And I thought, a gift that came out of that was while that whole Airbnb thing was happening, I was talking to my dad every day. And I would say, Dad, they're telling me I need to rip out the cabinets. What's that going to involve? And my dad, in those days of the Airbnb thing, got to be the guy again. He got to be the guy. The guy that everybody thought was gone, the guy that maybe he thought was gone, and he was so smart. He said, well, you're going to have to do the flooring. Well, you're going to have to do this. Well, you're going to have to do that. And he counseled me. And I think that's an amazing gift. It's a gift for me. It's a gift for him. But it didn't look like a gift at the time, I can tell you that. I have a little slide I want to show you. This is, again, divine timing. All right, we have this little triangle of dough. It says sometimes it all works out. Here's a little triangle of dough, and he's walking down the hill because he's got his little pastry plans. Walking down the hill, and up, 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 he's falling, and the fat end of the triangle starts to roll, 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 roll. And at the end, he's holding his arms up in triumph because he wasn't a triangle of dough. He's a croissant. He's French and he's fancy. So that's the human thing up there, and divine timing came in, and woo, it's better than I ever thought possible. Thank you, Joyce. I just love that. Now, I want to share one more story. I guess it's story time this Sunday. And this story is actually true. And what we're going to do is we saw the human Reka trying to do her thing and finding the blessing that came from accepting divine timing. Right? Now what we're going to do is flip the script, and I'm going to look at it from the point of view of spirit looking down at the human. Okay? And making the thing happen. We're going to use guardian angels because they're the emissaries of spirit. This is the true story. It happened to my friend Paul's father. And I don't know his name, so we're going to need some names. So people just shout out. Let's not use names of anyone who's actually here because that'll get complicated and confusing. So we need a name for Paul's dad.
Stan.
What?
Stan.
Stan. Oh, that's a good dad name too, isn't it? Wow, that's a good one. Stan. Now we are going to have two guardian angels. We're going to have a female and a male guardian angel. So female guardian angel name.
Dolly.
Dolly?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love these names. All right. Male guardian angel.
Stan.
We can't do Stan.
Oh, another one.
That would really be confusing. Dan? Well, there's a Dan here.
Oh, okay.
How about Bruce?
Bruce? She's got a Bruce at her home. That's okay. He's not here, so it won't get complicated. All right, so we've got Stan as the human main character. We have Dolly as the female guardian angel, and we have Bruce as the male guardian angel. So Stan is dinking around at home doing his things, and Dolly and Bruce are chatting. Dolly says to Bruce, have you had any luck getting through to Stan about whatever this physical anomaly is? I mean, is he having any feelings? Is he having any sensations? He needs to go to the doctor. Stan says, boy, I have been trying and trying and trying. I got to tell you, he was watching television the other day, and a commercial came on. And in that commercial, this woman was saying, oh, thank goodness, I went and saw my doctor. He caught this thing just in time, and I was trying to direct him. Pay attention, pay attention. But he was so focused on the Broncos that he just muted the channel whenever the commercial came on. So he didn't get it that way. Then the other day he was in Starbucks, and I heard a woman speaking about the same kind of thing, that she was so grateful that she'd gone to see her doctor and caught this thing just in time. And I was trying to direct him over there, okay, kind of nudging him over there. And instead he opened up his phone and he started playing something called Candy Crush. What is that? Dolly said, I don't know what we can do, but we got to do this quickly because it's reaching critical point. So they stopped and they thought for a second, and then Dolly said, I've got it. He's got that big, unruly dog, and he takes that dog for a walk every day, in the morning. That dog can see me. You think we can use that? And Bruce says, I think that could be great. So the next morning, Stan takes the big, unruly dog out for a walk, and Dolly jumps in front of the dog, and she goes, and the dog takes off running, and Stan falls to the ground, and he's bumping along, being pulled by the leash, and Bruce shouts, don't hurt him, we just want to get his attention. So Dolly, poof, she disappears. The dog stops and looks around. What just happened? So Stan gets up, he brushes himself off, and he goes home. He's all bumped and bruised. He walks into his house where his wife is stirring oatmeal. She goes, what happened to you? He said, oh, that silly dog. He ran and he dragged me. And the wife says, we need to go to the hospital. The husband is a stubborn guy. Stan is stubborn. He says, we're not going to the hospital for a few scrapes and bruises. No way. So he goes and he sits down in the living room and he turns on the television. So Dolly and Bruce look at each other. Dolly's like, well, now what? Bruce is thinking. He goes, you know what? That wife meditates every morning. She can hear the whispers. I'm going to work on her. So he goes into the kitchen and he's whispering in her ear and he's saying things like, internal damage, better safe than sorry. He's kind of whispering these things. And the wife turns off the stove because safety first, even in a story. And she comes back out to the living room where he's watching TV. And she goes, you know what, Stan? We are going to the hospital. There could be internal damage, and it's better to be safe than sorry. So Stan puts on his shoes, and we go to the hospital. In the doctor's room, the doctor's looking at him, and he says, okay, let's go to see some, we'll get some scans. So they take these tests, they do these scans. And the doctor, Dolly and Bruce are like ecstatic. They're like, he's gonna see it, he's gonna see it. He's doing all the right things, the tests, the scans, everything. Doctor walks back in. I mean, doctors are busy and they're overworked. And sometimes they miss things. And he walks in and he goes, I think everything's fine. Dolly and Bruce are besides themselves at this point. What are we going to do? What more do we need to do? And then Dolly goes, look at that first-year resident over there. She's looking at that one x-ray. She sees this little thing that could be a shadow. I think I can get through to her. She's practicing Reiki. So her channels are open. So Dolly goes over and she's pointing. She keeps pointing at this. And the first year keeps looking back at this little thing, and she's real timid. And she takes the scan. She goes to the doctor's office and she timidly knocks on the door. And she says, I'm so sorry to disturb you, but I think there might be something on this x-ray. So the doctor takes a look at it and he says, we're going to do one more test. So they do one more test. The test comes back. Turns out that one of Stan's kidneys was completely encased in a tumor. They schedule him for emergency surgery, successfully remove it. They find that there's no other cancer in the body. They send this tumor to the lab where it's discovered that, yes, in fact, it was cancerous. And everything turns out fine. And up in the clouds, Dolly and Bruce are high-fiving each other. Yes, we did it. So that's just a way it looks from the other side. So when you're going through all of this inconvenience and everything, try to think, what might be happening that we don't know about? What am I being nudged in the direction of? Because I love this quote by Patrick Overton. When you walk to the edge of all of the light, one of two things will happen. There will be something solid for you to stand upon, or you will be taught how to fly. Let's go into our time of meditation. In this beautiful moment, just sink into the divine presence that is all around us. The divinity that helps to guide our human plans, even when it doesn't feel like it. And as we inhale that beautiful peace, that gratitude. And as we exhale, we let go of anything that no longer serves us. This in itself is a meditation. Breathe in a few more times like this, breathing in gratitude, love, peace, goodwill, and breathing out everything that is not those things. Breathing in love, gratitude, peace, and goodwill, and breathing out everything else that doesn't serve. One more breath, breathing in gratitude, love, peace, and goodwill, and breathing out everything else. And we'll keep that going for a few minutes as we move into the silence. Divine Spirit, we are so grateful for this beautiful and sometimes messy human life that is teaching us so much about our humanity, coupled with our divinity. And so we say, thank you.